Tired of struggling with outdated content management system? It's time to level up with Strapi, the cutting-edge headless CMS that's transforming web development from developers everywhere. Strapi empowers you to create robust, flexible APIs for your content in minutes. In this video, you will learn how to create custom content types with just a few clicks, effortlessly build relationships between your data, and instantly generate APIs ready for any front end. Whether you are building a blog, an e-commerce site, or a complex web app, Strapi has got you covered. Join thousands of developers who are already using Strapi to streamline their workflow and build better websites faster. Curious to see what you have been missing? Let's see what makes Strapi a game changer. Hello everyone, welcome to this video on Introduction to Strapi. So let's quickly check on the agenda. What are we going to learn in your Introduction to Strapi? So we will have an introduction on Headless CMS, that is your content management system. We will see what exactly is your Headless CMS, and then we will see the introduction to your Strapi. And then we will also get into setting up your Strapi. We will see how the overview of your Strapi admin panel will have, what are the things which are included in your admin panel. Then we will have a discussion on your content modeling in your Strapi, and then a small project demonstration wherein we will be building a blog API, and we will try to have the CRUD operations being incorporated on that. That is your create, read, update, and delete. Also, we will try to use Postman to try to check whether the API is working or not. So what exactly is your headless content management system? So before we go into what is headless content management system, we need to know what exactly is your content management system. Content management system is nothing but a content repository wherein you have all the information which needs to be presented to your presentation layer, and that will be highlighted or given to your websites or your mobile apps or even to your voice assistants, right? So that is your content management system, wherein you have a content repository and you're trying to access the data from that content repository. Now coming to what is headless content repository, as I said, you have your content management system, and then with that content management system, you have your headless content management system, which came into existence because of the drawbacks of your traditional content management system. We will see what are the pros and cons of your traditional content management system as well in a while, right? So what exactly are we doing over here? As I said, you have a content repository, and with the help of your content repository, you're creating different APIs which will help us in trying to present the content for your web apps, your mobile apps, your IoT devices, your smart TVs, as well as your voice assistants, right? Before moving into more information about your headless CMS, I just want to give you a scenario wherein, say for example, you are having a lemonade shop, and then you have you can say that lemonade in a jug is your content which you're trying to serve with people, right? So if you have a physical store, you're just trying to have your lemonade sell on a specific type of cup, you can say, and you're trying to sell that. But if you want to sell your lemonade, then your jug which has the lemonade will become a magical jug which will help you in trying to have the content being served in different cups, like your mobile apps, your web apps, or your IoT devices, or even your voice assistants, right? So that's what you can say, that your headless CMS is like a magical jug which will help you in trying to provide your content or information, or present your content or information into various different cups, like you have your web apps and mobile apps, right? So moving on to the definition. So what exactly is the definition of your headless CMS? So you can say that headless CMS is a backend only content management system that acts primarily as a content repository. We already discussed that. It's just a content repository which we are trying to use that to present it with different apps like your web app or your mobile apps, right? And then what are the key characteristics of these headless CMS? It decouples your content management from your content presentation. Here is the main reason why the traditional CMS are now being replaced with your headless CMS, because your traditional CMS had a tight coupling between your content management and the way the content is being presented. But the first key characteristic says that there is a decoupling between your content management from your content presentation. They are not dependent on each other, right? And then content delivery, your headless CMS provides content through APIs. You have your RESTful APIs and you have your GraphQL APIs. These APIs are automatically created and then the content delivery is happening through these APIs, right? Now moving on to your features of your headless CMS. The first feature is your flexibility, wherein this headless CMS will help the developers to use any technology stack for your front end. Like you have your MERN stack, you have your MEAN stack, and as well as you can say that since the content is decoupled with that of your presentation layer, the flexibility is more in terms of your headless CMS. Then you have scalability, that is your headless CMS architectures are easier to scale as they are not tied to a specific front end technology, right? And then the next feature is omni-channel content delivery. That is the same content, you're using the same content, that is in contrast to your magical jug which I just discussed a few while. That is the same content can be served to multiple platforms simultaneously, ensuring consistency across your different channels. Like say for example, you have a news channel and then you want to have the updated news being sent across different sources, like you have your news blogs, you have your TV news, you have your news which is coming on your mobile apps, right? So your headless CMS will help you in having those omni-channel content deliveries which is being done simultaneously across different channels. Now, why do we choose your headless CMS, right? So developers prefer using your headless CMS because there are following reasons, like as we discussed the main features, we had your scalability, we had your flexibility, and it is easily maintainable. When we say easily maintainable, you have your content repository separately and you have your presentation, how the content is being presented to your front end separately, right? So obviously you can scale your content as well as maintain it across your different apps or presentations what you're doing for your context. And then freedom of choice in front-end technologies, right? Obviously you have freedom of choice. As you can say that one of the feature we discussed was simultaneously you will be able to access these technologies across your front end. So freedom of choice in front end technologies means that you are able to have that content being delivered onto your mobile app, onto your web app, or wherever you want to have it being delivered. And easy integration with various platforms, as it is compatible with your different operating systems. It is easily integrated with your various platforms, and then improved performance due to separated concerns. As we said that the content is separate and the presentation is separate, it is decoupled, not coupled like your traditional CMS. So we'll just have a look on a scenario based examples. Like say for example, imagine you have a company that needs to display product information on their websites, your mobile apps, and your in-store. So with the headless CMS, they can manage all products data in one place, right? And use the APIs. What are the APIs which we are using over here? That is your REST API and your GraphQL API. This will help you to distribute this content across your all platforms like your mobile app or your website or your in-store information, and ensuring consistencies and ease of updates, right? So you can say that when you're trying to choose your headless APIs, the first thing you're trying to do is you're focusing on the content and not on the presentation, right? If you have your scenario wherein you're trying to focus on your content and not on your presentation, you can use your headless CMS. And then it is consistent content across your all multiple platforms. As we saw in the scenario, like if you want to have the company's product being displayed to different websites or mobile apps, you can have the headless CMS as one of your choice, and then preview content across all channels, right? So this is the need of your headless CMS. Now we will go into what exactly is your Strapi. So your Strapi is open source in nature, and your Strapi source code is freely available in your GitHub, and then enables your community contributions and transparencies. And with the help of your Strapi, you can modify the core functionality based on the use case scenarios for which you're trying to build your content management system. And then it is built on your Node.js, and Node.js is your runtime environment for power and efficiency, right? And then it enables faster server-side operations and scalability, as well as your Node.js is easily integrated with other tools, right? So you can say that your Strapi is built on your Node.js runtime environment because of its power and efficiency. And then customizable admin panel. You have a customized admin panel which will try to give you a user interface. Even a non-tech person will be able to figure out what has to be done there and how the content is being maintained over there. We will see the admin panel in a few while now. Okay, and then customizable to your specific needs. As I said, in this we are just trying to create a blog API and we will see how we can customize it to yourself. However, we are not actually developing the front end and trying to show you that. Okay, we are just trying to build a blog with the help of your admin panel and trying to see the CRUD operations being implemented with the help of your Postman, right? Supports plugin for extended functionalities. Your Strapi has a lot of plugins which will help you in trying to add more and more functionality to the use cases for which you're trying to have your CMS being developed for. And then API offerings, already discussed that auto-generated RESTful APIs for all content types, and you have your built-in GraphQL API for efficient queries, and you can also use these APIs to customize based on your specific needs. Now, what are the key benefits of your Strapi? Okay, we'll discuss the key benefits of your Strapi. First is community driven, and then you have your developer friendly. Like as I said, even if a non-tech a person is trying to see what exactly is there in your admin panel and try to have those CRUD operations being done irrespective of the tech knowledge the person has, it will be able to do that. So it is developer friendly, and then it is customizable based on your use cases. You will be able to customize your CMS, and then it is secure, and the performance also is high. Okay, these are the key benefits. Now moving on to the versions of your Strapi. The first version which came into your Strapi was your Strapi v3, that is version 3. That was the first stable release in the year 2019, which had limited features and was just trying to have the initial features of your headless content management system. Then in 2021, we have Strapi version 4, which was majorly built on the architectural changes as well as improvised based on your developer experiences, right? So this is the stable version which is as of now currently working on. Okay, and then we have Strapi version 4.x, that is continuous improvements are happening with the learnings of your Strapi 4, but currently we are going with your Strapi version 4 itself. And then future is coming up, that is your Strapi v5, which has a planned future release. However, the different features which are being incorporated on your Strapi version 5 is not yet declared as of now, but yes, continuous improvements based on the plugins which your Strapi v3 provides, Strapi v4 provides, and based on your improved developer experiences, the planned future release is upcoming for Strapi v5. Okay, now features of Strapi. Right, so there are a lot of features of Strapi. I'll just go it in a sequential way. That is, you have your plugin system, right? So it is able to have your extended functionalities with the help of your plugin systems. We will see in a while what are the different plugins which we have for your Strapi 4. And then you have your APIs, that is automated APIs. You have your REST API, you have your GraphQL APIs. And then we have your internationalization, that is multi-language content can be saved. And then you have your access control, that is your role-based access control, and granular permissions can be given. Role-based access control based on your admin, super admin, or how you want the user to have the role, you can have that with the help of your access controls. And then you have your media management, that is you will be able to store different types of medias, like you have your videos, you have your voice. This reminds me that Spotify uses your Strapi CMS for having those customizations being done with the help of the different presentations it gives for the songs and all that, right? Okay, and then media management, asset libraries and image manipulations. That is obviously when we are using your CMS, you can as well do your CRUD operations based on that. Okay, content types, we have your collection types, you have your component system, and you have your single systems, and then you have your admin panel. As I said, the feature is user-friendly interface and customizable layouts based on how exactly your use cases are there. You will be able to customize the layouts of your Strapi. Okay, coming to your database, SQLite, PostgreSQL and MySQL and MongoDB, all these databases can be used with the help of your Strapi. So there are wide varieties of features of your Strapi. So we will see one by one when we are trying to explore your panel of your admin panel of your Strapi. Now, use cases and applications. The first use case is web applications. We will see one by one. You have your modern single page applications, that is your SPAs. Single page application is nothing but when you are trying to have an update, say for example, you have your news website and every minute or every second you want the news to be updated. Loading the page, you are just trying to refresh the content which is required to be updated, right? So that is your single page applications, and use Strapi as a backend for React, Vue and your Angular apps, and then it will leverage the APIs to dynamically load your content. So as I discussed, a news portal with real-time updates. And then next application you can consider is your progressive web applications. This also utilizes your Strapi for your offline capable web apps. Okay, it will sync your content when online, and it will serve cache content when you're offline. That is your progressive web apps. So an example here, you can consider that as a recipe app that works without an internet connection. That is, once it is synced, the content is synced online, so it will be there in your server cache, and it will be able to see those content even when you're offline. Right, and then the next one is your server-side rendered applications. Your Strapi are capable of building your server-side applications with the help of your Next.js or your Next.js for your SEO-friendly sites. Okay, it will help you in trying to fetch the content and build time or server-side for your optimal performances, right? So one of the example here we can give for server-side rendering applications is a marketing website with dynamic SEO optimized contents, right? So next we will see what are the use cases and applications. As we said, Strapi can be used for different platforms, right? So mobile apps, so native iOS and Android applications. So your Strapi you can use your Strapi for your backend for Swift and your Kotlin apps, right? And implement your real-time features using your Strapi's API, that is your REST API and your GraphQL APIs. Okay, one of the example you can say is a social media app with user-generated content. And then we also have cross-platform apps with the help of your backend, like your React Native and your Flutter. So you can leverage your Strapi's API for consistent data across your platforms, right? You can use your GraphQL for efficient data loading on your mobile devices. So you can say an example for your cross-platform apps as your e-learning cross-platforms, wherein with the video content, you have your audio, you have your video, as well as there might be some PDFs also as a learning content which are there on your cross-platform apps, right? So moving on next to your use cases, that is your e-commerce platforms. You have your headless e-commerce solutions. You will be able to use your Strapi to manage product catalogs, your orders and your customers' data, right? You will be able to integrate this along with your payment gateway and all the shipping details and all that. With the help of your Strapi, you can do that. An example, you can say custom e-commerce platforms with unique business logic. And then the second one is product catalogs and your inventory management. You can use your Strapi for this when you're trying to leverage your Strapi's content types. That is, we saw multiple content types, single content type, right? For complex product structures, you can also use your roles and permissions for different departments like your sales and inventory. And one of the example here, you can say that is a B2B platform with dynamic pricing and your inventory tracking. Moving on to your next use case and your application, that is blogs and news sites. Okay, you have multi-author blogs. You can use your Strapi for your user management for different author roles, right? And then using Strapi, you'll be able to implement a publishing workflow with drafts and reviews. An example here you can think of is a tech blog with multiple contributors and different categories for your tech blog, right? And then we can also have news portals and complex content structures wherein you're utilizing the components of reusable content blocks, like you have your image galleries or your code blocks, and then you will be able to implement your content relations for related articles and your topics. One of the example you can think over here is a news site with articles with videos and interactive infographics, right? Moving on to your next use case is your IoT devices. You have your smart home applications. You use your Strapi to store and manage your device data and user preferences, right? You will be able to implement your API endpoints for device communication. An example is a smart home system controlling your lights, controlling your ACs, controlling your security devices and all that, right? And then you can also use your Strapi for your industrial IoT dashboards, like for storing and processing your sensor data, right? And then you can use your GraphQL for those data querying. As you know, that GraphQL is efficient in data querying for real time, right? So you will be able to use your GraphQL APIs for having your data querying being done. So an example you can think of over here is a factory monitoring system with real-time analytics. And then moving on to further your use cases is your voice assistants, like content for Alexa skills or your Google actions, right? You can use your Strapi to manage and serve content for your voice interactions as well. You can implement APIs that will help you easily be consumed by your voice platforms, like you have your Alexa. So an example you can say is a trivia game skill for Alexa using Strapi for question management. Further use cases is digital signage, wherein you're trying to have your content management for digital displays. Okay, you use your Strapi to schedule and manage your content across your multiple displays. You will also implement your role-based access based on the different locations or departments the person is in. An example is a retail chain managing promotional content across your store displays, you can say. Moving on to your differences between your Strapi versus your traditional CMS. So we will just look into the features and what is the difference your Strapi has with regards to your traditional CMS. Content delivery, your Strapi has an API first approach. As we said, the APIs are automated. That is, your REST API and your GraphQL APIs are all automated, and the content delivery is happening based on your API first approach. Here in your traditional CMS, it is typically coupled with your presentation, right? Obviously, the content repository and the presentation is coupled in your traditional CMS. So the content delivery is happening with that coupling between your repository and your presentation, right? Flexibility is high. Use any front-end technology, like you have your mobile apps, you have your website apps, you have your voice assistants. You'll be able to use with any of your front-end technologies, often limited to specific technologies your CMS, traditional CMS is. And then we also saw the features of your Strapi is it is highly scalable, right? Since there is a separation between the content and your presentation, the scalability is very high for your Strapi, but for your traditional CMS, it is challenging because of its tight coupling between your content and your presentation, right? And then front end, any technology, like you have your React, Vue, Angular, you will be able to use any of your front end technologies. But for your traditional CMS, it is often limited to specific frameworks, or you have your traditional CMS also provides specific templates. Based on those templates, you will be able to customize it only. Okay, and then the performance, you can say that the performance is optimized and can implement your content delivery networks easily. But here in your traditional CMS, the performance can be slower due to the monolithic nature. Fine. And then few more differences you can say is customization. Your Strapi is highly customizable, and then it also has built-in plugins which will help you in trying to customize based on the use cases for which you're trying to build your app with, right? And then you have in your traditional content management system is often limited to provide themes and plugins. And then the development speed for your Strapi is rapid API development, whereas in your traditional CMS, it can be slower for your headless use cases, you can say. The content modeling is flexible and powerful, but in your traditional CMS, it is often limited or it is rigid. And multi-channel publishing, native support. Multi-channel publishing, as I said, an example before that, you have your news channel and you're trying to have the first-hand information or the updated information being updated on your websites, on your mobile apps, and so, right? So your multi-channel publishing is feasible, very supportive in your Strapi, but often requires additional plugins in case of your traditional CMS, right? And then security is fine-grained controlled and JWT support. Your traditional CMS varies and often plugin dependent for your security features, right? Now moving on to your pros and cons of your Strapi. Right? So we'll first discuss on the pros of Strapi and then we'll go to the cons of Strapi, right? So pros is greater flexibility in your content delivery and front-end technology choice, right? We have already discussed in terms of your features of your headless CMS and the headless CMS being used for your Strapi and all that. Greater flexibility is given. And then better performance for complex multi-channel applications, easier to scale and maintain, especially for large products. Strapi can be used, and it is more suitable for your modern development practices and the architecture. So what are the cons of your Strapi? So it requires more initial setup compared to your traditional CMS. Obviously, you need to have your servers up and running, so you need some initial setup when compared to your traditional CMSs, and may need additional front-end developments and learning curve of your developers used to traditional CMS workflows, right? So most of the developers use flexible in using your traditional CMS. So little bit of learning needs to happen when it comes to trying to build something with the help of your Strapi, right? Now, setting up your Strapi. So as we said, we're going through the setup of how the Strapi needs to be set up. But before we try to look into the demo of how we are trying to set up your Strapi, so we will first see the system requirements. So as we said, your Strapi is built on your Node.js runtime environment, right? So first thing you need to have on your system is your Node.js, right? And which is the version of your Node.js which you require is, it is greater than 14, version 14.xx is the version which you require. And Strapi runs on your Node.js, which provides its runtime environment. And when you have installed your Node.js, you can check which version of your Node.js with the help of the command node ---- version, right? And then the next one which is required is your NPM, that is your Node Package Manager. So your Node Package Manager basically manages all the dependencies and runs your script. So to check your version, you can use NPM ---- version. And here we are trying to use versions which are greater than equal to 6.x. Fine. And then coming to your databases, as we said, your databases, you can use your MongoDB, you can use your MySQL, you can use your SQLite, and then your PostgreSQL also, right? But based on your use case, like if you're using a small project, or if you're just trying to build a small project, you can use your SQLite, right? And if you have your complex queries, you can go with your PostgreSQL. And then if you have high traffic, you can use your MySQL. And then you can also use your MongoDB based on your use cases, right? And then operating systems, as we said, it is compatible with your Mac OS, Windows, and your Linux as well, right? And then tools, you have your Git, you need your code editor, that is anything like your Visual Studio Code editor. And then you have your Postman or similar tool for your API testing, which we will just look at in a while now. What are the installation processes which needs to happen? We discussed the system requirements, right? So first thing was Node.js was the requirement. So we first need to install your Node.js, then we verify the Node.js installation, and then we will install Strapi on your command line interface, and then we will create your Strapi project. After we have created the Strapi project, we will choose the database, and then we will use the project setup and then start your Strapi server, and then we access your admin panel. So this is a process which will help us in guiding through the installation process, right? So after we have created the project structure, this is how the project structure would look like. My project is my name of the project, and then you can see that you have your cache, Strapi cache files, temporary files, and then you have your config wherein you have all your configuration files being added there, and then databases files if using your SQLite, all these things are there, and then you have your source files being given over here. You have your package.json, which has the project dependencies and your scripts, your server.js, that is your main application file, and then you have your API files, right? And then you have your plugins, your custom plugins. So this is the basic structure of your Strapi. Now coming to your Strapi admin panel overview. So this is your admin panel dashboard, wherein you can see that you have your left panel wherein you have your content manager, you have your plugins like your content type builder, media library, wherein I said that you'll be able to have your videos and your audios being stored over here, and then releases, and then you have your deploy. We are not going to deploy our project over here, right? So what are the different plugins you have here, right? So you have your content manager, you have your content type builder, which will help you modelize the data structure of your API. You have your email plugin, which will configure your applications to send your email. You have your media library plugin, which will help you in having your media file management processes being done. And then I said that you have your roles and permissions. It will help you protect your API for full authentication based on your JWT, right? And then these plugins come along with your ACL strategies that allows you to manage your permissions between your groups of your users. And then internationalization, as I said, that these plugins enable you to create, to read and update your content in different languages. We as well saw in the features of your Strapi, right? And then you have your Strapi Cloud, and then instructions to deploy your local project to your Strapi Cloud, which we are not doing as of now, right? And then you have your settings over here in your administrative panel. So you can see that you have your settings, you have your API tokens, and then internationalization. As of now, the display language is English over here. Based on your localization, you can add the different languages by adding your new locali here. And then media library plugins, wherein you have your asset management, which will help you in trying to have your media files being managed over here, right? We have your reviews workflows, which will help you in content review processes. You have your single sign-on, which will help you in trying to upgrade your single sign-on settings, and also upgrade. The single sign-on is available only on your paid plan. And then you have your transfer tokens, which will help you in trying to generate your tokens. And then you have your webhooks, which will help you in posting any changes or modifications which we are done. And then we have your administrative panel, and you have your user and permissions plugin. You have different roles in your administration panels, like you have your author, editor, and your super admin. If you need any more roles for your administration, you can use your add new role and try to add your new roles over there, right? And then you have your user. You can say that since I had already since I logged in, so I'm the role of super user, super admin here, right? And then you have your audit logs, which will basically display only when you have your paid plans. And then you have your email plugin, that is your configuration. That is, this will help you in trying to automate your email generations, right? So, and then you have your user and permission plugins. You have two types. One is authenticated and the other one is public. And then you have your providers, right? And then you have your email templates, and you have your advanced settings. We are not going into more detail. We'll just try to create a blog API now. Next, moving on to your content modeling in your Strapi. So what exactly is your content modeling? It is a process of structuring and organizing your content. It defines the type of content and the relationships in between them. So it also forms the foundation of your Strapi project. So how the content is organized and structured, and what is the relationship between the different types of contents is what is your content modeling. And this content modeling forms a foundation of your Strapi project. So why is content modeling important? It is because it ensures data consistency. It improves your content management efficiency. It also helps in having easier API consumptions, and it will also help you in scalable and flexible applications, right? moving on to the content types, we have collection types and then we have single types, and the different fields what we have is you have your text, short, long or rich, number, date, basically the data types you can say, like you have your date, media, boolean, JSON, enumeration and your password. We will see when we are trying to build a blog API, we will see what are the different fields, and we will see the different content types also, like your collection types and your single types as well. Okay, and then we also have components that are reusable groups of your fields, and then you have your dynamic zones, which are flexible content areas. And when we talk about relationships, there are different types of relationships, that is one-to-one, one-to-many and many-to-many relationships. These are very familiar terms which you would have learned in the basics of your databases as well. One-to-one relationship, one-to-many relationship and many-to-many relationships. Fine. Now we will go to the project demonstration wherein we are building a blog API with your Strapi. So I'll just try to build you a context of what exactly we are trying to do over here. The first thing we are trying to do is we are creating a blog API using your Strapi, right? And then we are trying to implement your CRUD operations for your blog post, that is your create, read, update and your delete. And then we will try to manage authors, categories and your comments, right? So we'll try to do that. Now, we also saw the setting up of your Strapi, right? The prerequisite which are required for setting up your Strapi project is, the first one is you need to have your Node.js and then your NPM. So we'll just see what Node.js version we have. So node ---- version is the command. So you can see that the version is 18.8.2. right, wherein we saw that the version needs to be more than 16, right? And then we'll just check our NPM version, that is your node packet manager version. So my node packet manager version is 9.8.1, which is greater than or equal to your 6.x.x, right? So we have our prerequisites, right? So first thing what we will be doing is we will try to install Strapi. The command to install your Strapi is npm install -g Strapi. We are globally installing your Strapi over here so that it is easy for us to use it anywhere from the system. So I'll just click on enter here. It'll take a while. And you can see that my Strapi is getting installed here. My Strapi is installed over here. So the next step for this is we will try to create a project here, right? So to create a new Strapi project, I'm trying to use this command called as npx create Strapi app. This is the standard command, and blog -API is my name of my project, and I'm trying to give -- quick start. So let us see, the project will create now. So it says that my blog API is already present. I've just deleted the folder there. So we will try to have a project created with the same name. This will take a while. So you can see that the project has been created. That is your blog API. And then it is giving you some commands. And let's just see here. What is it giving? It is telling that you will be able to, your server has started and you'll be able to use with your URL called as http localhost 1337/admin. 1337 is the default port number for your Strapi, right? So I'll just give my credentials here. Right, so going to your content manager, this is the place wherein you will be able to try to have your APIs being built. What plugin do we have to use here? So we have to use your content type builder here, right? And then here you can see that create a new collection type, and these are the different types, right? Collection types, you have your single types and your components. We will go with your create a new collection type over here, right? So I will try to have my display name as, I'll just give it as blog API post, and then I'll click on continue. So what is the text? What are the things which we need to have in your blog API post? First thing is the title. So I will just have a short text over here and I will give it as title. Okay. And I'm trying to add another field with the rich text, that is my content, right? And then I will use a date field over here, wherein I'm using it as published, and it is asking me to choose the type. So I'm just choosing the date. You can as well choose date and time and only time. So I'll choose the date over here, and then I try to finish over here. So these are my tables for my API blog post. That is table, title, content, and your publish. So I'm trying to save whatever I have added over here for my collection type here. This will take a while. I'm going to skip the tour here. Okay, I'll try to create another collection type here with the name author. Okay, and then I'll give name as my short text, and then I will use email. Okay, and then I'm trying to finish this. I'm trying to save this. Okay, so we have created two collection types, API blog post and author. We will try to create more collection types. That is category, and in category we'll just try to have name here. Finish, and I'm going to save here. I'll try to create another collection type here. My name, comments. And then content as text. And I'm going to save this. So you can see that we have created the collection types, that is your API blog post, author, category, and comments. We will try to add relationships over here. So we'll just go to API blog post, right? Add another field. Here I'm trying to take up a relationship. So my API blog post. So first I'll have a relationship with my author, that is many-to-one relationship. So add another field. I'm again trying to have a relationship between my category, add another field, and then I have another relationship with my comments, many-to-one, and then I try to finish this, right? So let me just check what is the relationship I've given here for my category. I'll just change it to many-to-one, right? And then I will save this. Okay, everything is saved now. We have title, content, published at, author being a relationship, category is a relationship, and comment being relationship. All we have given is a many-to-one relationship here, right? Now we'll go to comment, and here also we will try to add a relationship over here, and it's a many-to-one relationship, and this is my author here, right? Finish, and I'm trying to save this relationship. Okay, so you can see that content, and it has two relationships with my API blog post as well as my author here. Now we will try to set up the permissions here. So we will go to settings, user permission roles. I'll click on public, and then this is my API blog post, right? So I'm trying to select all, that is create, delete, find one, and update, and I'm trying to save this. So I have given my role permission over here, right, as being public. So I will try to create a new entry over here. So let me say title is Strapi and blog post for Strapi. Then I'm giving the date, and then I'm saving this, and I'm publishing this, right? So it is successfully published. If I check my content manager, you can see that this is my first blog post which I have created here, right? And it is published. Now we will try to test this API with the help of your Postman. So I'm starting Postman here. So new HTTP request. So I'm trying to give the URL here, right? Yeah, so this is my URL here, HTTP localhost 1337 API and API blog post, right? That's the content which we have created. So when I click on send, so you can see that my first entry which I did with the help of my admin panel is displayed over here. So you can see that the API is working, right? And then that's the title I had given, and then this is the text which I had given, that is blog post for Strapi, right? Now we will try to add an information to our panel there, right? So we will just click on post. So that will help us in trying to post another block content here. So header. So I'll try to give it as content type, and then value I will give it as application/JSON, right? And then I'll go to the body section over here and I'll click raw, just sliding this down, and then I'll click on JSON. So it's already in JSON. Okay, so I'm just trying to add a data over here, that is title is my first block, and then content is, this is the content for my first blog post. So let's see whether it will get updated or not. So you can see that it is getting updated. Now if I want to search it, so I can say, if I, with the help of my ID, I'm doing this. So you can see that I'm getting the post over here, right? So if I just don't give any ID here and try to fetch all the details, you can see that I'm getting all the two details which I have added here, right? So we will see in our panel now, right? This is what we had just added from our Postman, right? So we try to add with the help of your Postman, right? And we try to retrieve it also, right? Now we will try to update the information with the help of your post method, right? So I'm just trying to use my put method over here. So for my ID1, I'm trying to change it, the title as updated blog post title, and then I'm trying to add some comment here. So let me just send it. So you can see that it is updated now. So we'll just try to check in our admin panel. So you can see that first initially the title was Strapi, now it is updated blog post title, right? Now we will try to delete the first post, right? So you can see that status is 200. Now we will try to check if it is deleted or not. So you can see that the first post is deleted, right? So this is how, with the help of, we just tried to create a small project that is our API blog post, and we tried to perform the CRUD operations and also test the APIs with the help of your Postman. Now coming to your summary, we have discussed that your Headless CMS is a content management system which will help you in focusing on your backend and delivering content via your APIs. And what are the APIs? That is REST API and your GraphQL APIs. And then your Strapi is an open source CMS which is built on your Node.js runtime environment, right? And then we also saw the different versions of your Strapi. Version 3 evolved in 2019 and version 4 in 2021, and also they have some different significant changes based on the plugins and the developer experiences, you can say. And then we also saw that Strapi's key features include you will be able to customize your API. You have an admin panel which will give you like a user interface for your applications, and then you have a plugin system, you have your content type builder, and you have your role-based access controller. We saw all these in your overview of your admin panel as well, right? And then the use cases of your Strapi, we also saw that you have your websites, you have your mobile apps, you have your IoTs for your smart TVs or industrial users. You'll be able to use your IoT as well as your static site generations as well. And we also saw the features of your Strapi, that is, it is more flexibility is there, scalability is there, and you can also have user-friendly features for your Strapi. And in comparison to your traditional CMS, your Strapi is a good choice based on your use cases, right? And then we also discussed on what exactly is content modeling. That is a process of structuring and organizing your data, and it forms a basic foundation for your Strapi project. We also saw the process of building your blog API, wherein we had we went through the setup and then creating your content types and then establishing relationships. We discussed one-to-one, one-to-many, and many-to-many, and also adding sample data as well as testing your API endpoints with the help of your Postman. By following these steps, you will have a fully functional blog API with Strapi, complete with CRUD operations, authors, categories, and comments management. You can further extend the functionality to customizing the API and deploying it to a production environment. For more detailed information, refer to the Strapi documentation.